All right. Well, welcome everyone to the October 2025 CAG meeting. I hope everyone is doing well. This meeting should be streaming live on Facebook right now. And I'm also going to press record just in case I can't download this from Facebook. So I will be our sole facilitator today. My colleague Tara is out of town. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Ethan.
Thank you, Paula. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ethan Kraft. Oh, I just sent you a share request, Paula. My name is
Okay.
Ethan Kraft. I am with the program management team for Eastside Coast Resiliency, and I'm here with colleagues from DDC, as well as our CCLs and some of our sister agencies. Let me fire up this presentation. Can you see that okay? Great, thank you. Okay, so welcome to CAG meeting number 62. Tonight we are going to highlight most of our topics, albeit some of them are briefly. We'll move right along to the agenda. We'll talk about some of our recent community events and programming, and then I will hand it over to Steve for some work with us updates, and then we will go through our normal construction updates. It was very nice to see many of you folks at the Community Day on September 28th. It was a really fun way to welcome the community back into the park. It was a very hot day for late September, but it was really exciting to see the community embracing the park and learning more about some of the infrastructure that is underneath it, as well as the significant community effort that it took to build this portion of the park, as well as all of the interagency coordination. And again, I will thank Robin as well as Damaris for their contributions to planning that whole event. It was a really awesome day. Okay, with that, I will go ahead and hand it over to Stephen.
Sure. Thank you, Ethan, for the intro. Hi, everyone. My name is Stephen Anderson. I work for Bowie Studio, but also a member of the PMCM team on the ESCR project. And our role focuses on more of the local hiring and the MWVE participation, also supporting community engagement activities. And of course, these efforts, continue to show our commitment to promoting the economic inclusion of the area and ensuring the benefits of ESCR is also extended to the local businesses as well. Recently, as you can see, we attended the Lesson Job Fair. We were able to meet LES locals as well as other New York City residents who came seeking jobs and other opportunities. I would say it was a successful event. During this event, we also promoted our ESCR job fair that's coming up on November 6th, which is the slide that we're on. So this event, we'll have a minimum of 13 exhibitors who will be attending the event. Currently, we have 50 registrants. Our goal is to get that number up to 300 plus. So we do need your help with that. Please continue to share the flyer that you see. You may have received it in an email or from local reps or directly. We do have it translated in 3 languages. So if you do need us to send it to you, please let us know. We do have exhibitors like local CBOs, Jobs Plus, Henry Street Settlement, the Girls Club. We have Lesson who will be tabling. We have training programs like Apex Tech, RETI Center, who focuses on solar training agencies, city agencies like DEP. We have the Port Authority in New York, New Jersey, who will be doing recruitment for the police within their facilities. So, we'll have a variety of exhibitors there. Again, please do help us to promote this event as we go on. Next slide. And as we talk about just hiring updates, as of this month, the total PM staff has pretty much stayed the same since we last met. Over the next few months, you will see that this number will remain pretty much static as we are coming to a close of the project next year. Of course, 116 of the staff are new hires, which 30%, 38.5% representing MWE subs. Female representation around 24%, which is more than the industry double for women in construction. Next slide. And as of August, we do have an increase in staff on the IPC. This is the general contractor on the project. New hires represent around 46%, rounding up, 9% from MWE firms. And then notably, 15 new hires reported that are Section 3 eligible. Next slide. For project area 2, this number also will remain static as this portion of the project has reached substantial completion. And so in the future, we may exclude this, but definitely wanted to share where we last left off. And this data represents totals as of August 2024 of last year. Next slide. This chart details staff by residency. Of course, as we see where folks live and are coming from, Queens and Staten Island, leading in where the sadly impacted hires are from. Staten Island contributing to over, close to 35%, I should say. And then next slide. As far as MWBE goals and utilization, still on the path to exceeding those goals on both PA1, PA2, PMCM team. IPC, well on the way, if you can go back, well on the way towards their goal of 16%, and then exceeding the goal for PA2 general contractor on their 12% MWBE goals. Next slide. For this position, this position is still open. So those interested can continue to apply by scanning the QR code and being able to apply directly through the employer portal. And this is the assistant procurement specialist position. So please do share that with your residents and stakeholders. And next slide. Last but not least, the guidance towards the project goals that includes MWBE utilization and Sunday hiring. These are all benchmarks that guide the contractor obligations. And this more information can be found on the fact sheet on our Work With Us page. If you have any questions about anything that I've covered, the event coming up, or anything that I've covered, please do ask.
Are there any questions for Stephen? I don't see any.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all. Have a good day. I'll stick around if there are questions that come up. Thanks.
Thank you, Stephen. So getting into our 3 contracts, we know them well. Project Area 1 and Parallel Conveyance are the ones that we're really going to focus on moving forward. In Project Area 1, we had the recent transition into Phase 2. So we have all of our open areas in and around the Williamsburg Bridge, park access via the Delancey Street, Corlears Hook bridges, and then the connection at Pier 42 is also open. Everything north of the new tennis courts has closed for construction. And then moving on to Parallel Conveyance, we have our main work areas. The majority of work is currently happening in those first 3 bullets. Project Area 2, probably one of the last times we're going to hit on this, but just a reminder that the northern entrance at East 23rd Street opened in September, so you can now walk straight into Stuyvesant Cove Park from East 23rd Street. Moving on to Project Area 1. On the southern end of the project, we have ongoing flood wall and floodgate operations. We also recently turned over the Montgomery Street parking lot back to Health and Hospitals, so that they are parking there. That is looking good. And then we will soon be reopening the FDR Drive northbound ramp that traffic has been shifted there for a while. So they are doing final restoration of that area these days, and it should be open in the next couple of weeks, within the next couple of weeks. On that little sliver of area from basically Pier 42 up to the northern tennis courts, we have the Parks and Maintenance Building, as well as the tennis building that are both under construction. Moving further north in the area around East Houston Street, we have ongoing retaining wall activity there, as well as demolition, excavation, and then the installation of clean fill via barge. In Project Area 4, the park up in this area has been closed. Deep sewer work is ongoing, as well as flood wall construction, excavation, and then some soil stabilization activities. In Area 5, which is mostly the Reese Houses footprint, we have utility work there on East 10th Street, and then a little further north, we have preparation for the East 13th Street flood wall and floodgates that'll eventually cross the FDR and meet the Con Edison building. And then the open area of the park, we have punch list items going on throughout that area, as well as in Corlears Hook and along Delancey Street. And then throughout the FDR Drive, we have ongoing lane closures. And speaking of the FDR Drive, in mid-November, on November 16th, from 12:01 a.m. to 10 a.m., the FDR Drive will be shut down from exit 2 on the southern end to exit 5 on the northern end. This is to accommodate the removal of the temporary bridge at Corlears Hook now that the permanent bridge has reopened. We'll utilize this closure to get a little bit more work done around the Delancey Street Bridge area, namely restoring the concrete median in that area. This is the same detour that we have had for the installation of the Corlears Hook Bridge, and I believe the same as the installation of the Delancey Street Bridge. So as always, any vehicles traveling in this area should follow all of the posted signs and traffic enforcement agents. And this advisory is already up on our website, so if you need to refer back to the map or any of the details, you can find that there. Some construction photos. On the left, you see the restoration I was talking about on that northbound FDR Drive ramp. That's right by the swing floodgate. It's in between the FDR Drive and Pier 42, just to give you some context. On the right side, you can see that the approaches for the temporary bridge have been getting taken down over the course of late September to now in October. So these are the steps that they're taking before they undergo that full FDR Drive closure to remove the structure that crosses the FDR, the span. Right around that area, they're continuing to pour concrete for the flood walls where East River Park comes back down to grade near Pier 42, and this flood wall runs along the FDR Drive. So basically on the other side of this wall is the FDR. And then on the opposite end of the project at the north end, we have the installation of flood wall sheeting for the buried flood wall. Eventually, of course, clean fill will cover these sheets that you see on the left there. In the same area, we have the installation of the combi wall along the waterfront, as well as the removal of the existing esplanade deck. We do keep those pier caps that you can see there, and that's where the new esplanade is placed when they switch over from removal to reconstruction. We will talk about the environmental reporting for September. Sorry, I was having a bit of issues there. You guys can see this slide, correct, with the map of the park? Okay, great. Thank you. So these are where our current air quality monitoring devices are. This is where they were for the bulk of September. We obviously had that transition right at the beginning, so some of them moved around at the beginning of the month. But as construction has moved further north, so have the air quality monitoring devices. We added an additional one at Reese, as well as just some other ones within the construction area in East River Park. We did have some long duration events in September. You can see from that East 6th Street area to East 10th Street, there were quite a few long, long alerts, and this was mostly related to the jet grouting operation at East Houston Street, the soil stabilization techniques, as well as some of the removal of trees and demolition in the northern end as we made that transition. And in all of those events, we applied dust suppression techniques, and we are continuing to remind the contractor, especially on windy months like October has been, to apply those dust suppression techniques whenever possible. Moving along to parallel conveyance. In location 1, they have a little bit more work, more sewer work to do on Jackson Street, but the restoration, weather permitting, of Jackson Street should be done by the end of this year. If it gets to be too cold before they're able to restore it, they'll have to do temporary restoration just because it has to be a specific temperature for the asphalt to set. And then up at location 2, that's where work is kind of transitioning to be heavier, right around the Williamsburg Bridge. On Lewis Street and Delancey Street, we have a couple different types of piles being installed to prepare for the installation of the parallel conveyance sewer. Work is just a few steps behind that on location 3. They're still doing test pits and drilling well points, and then those are the activities that they do in advance of the sewer installation. Up at East Houston Street, we are continuing to do utility relocation before we can dive into the deep sewer installation up there. And then things still are pretty quiet in locations 5 and 6. Some test pits and utility relocations are ongoing. As we advance construction activities up there, we'll of course keep the CAG and all of our stakeholders up there updated. So just diving in a little bit deeper to the Williamsburg Bridge, this started really in force last month, and it is expected to continue through the end of this year, finishing up anticipated early December. These are the deep excavations for the parallel conveyance sewer. It is limiting some of the parking on Lewis and Delancey Street. And then we do have vibration monitors in the vicinity of this work. For East River Housing's purposes, they're right in the footprint of this work. They will always have access to their parking lot and for garbage removal, and we are always coordinating with their management and maintenance teams to make sure that they're aware of any outages or any work, especially near their boiler facility. We will have some water main work coming up in this area, so some buildings will lose will lose water for that. Tanya is in touch with those buildings and will give more specifics as we have them. And please contact her, of course, if you have any issues. We'll have her contact information on all of the parallel conveyance notices and in basically any email that we send. Those outages will be just one day of work. They're anticipated to be one day of work. And as always, water will be restored at the end of the day. Some photos of the parallel conveyance work. On the left, you can see a machine installing Kaison on rock piles. I did not know what these were, so I asked the team, and it is basically just another type of pile where the pile casing is drilled into the rock below ground. So it is a drilling method of installation, not a hammering or vibration. The middle picture, you can see the team removing the top section of the existing sewer. They will build a chamber around where these workers are working. So they're building a new chamber around the existing sewer there. And then you can kind of get a feel for that in the photo on the right. You can see towards the bottom of the photo, that is the type of chamber or manhole that will be attached to this structure. In the Delancey Street area, we have some helical piles being installed. That is to provide support for the deep sewer structure once that goes in. And then on the right, you can see jet grouting, which is a soil ground stabilization technique for a manhole also on Delancey Street. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions about any of that.
Wendy.
Oh, hi. Sorry. I just have a couple questions about that Lewis entrance. What is the plan once that construction is done? How will that area be made into more of a park entrance? Because right now, most people still don't realize you can get through there.
Sure. Yes. And I know you brought this up last week, so I'll make sure that we have some additional signage out there directing folks into the park. I'm not sure exactly what the signage and striping plan is there, but we can get back to you.
Thank you. And when you're on the bridge, the Delancey Bridge, and you look down, you can see there's a wide path right next to the FDR on the east, on the river side of it. What is the plan for that area?
You're talking about basically right next to the FDR, right?
Correct.
Between the basketball court and the FDR Drive, for example. That will remain a construction
Yes.
road throughout construction, but when we are done, portions of it will be open for pedestrians, and then other portions are limited to sort of parks access.
So it's not a
it.
bike way.
Not to my knowledge, but I can look into the specifics and get back to you.
Yeah, I'd really love to know because we did have an incredible a lot of usage of that bikeway before. And I see that there are some bike lanes in the park that are kind of narrow two-way lanes. And I also see that wide road right next to the drive. So I thought that was maybe going to be a future bikeway. And I sort of remember a tree-lined path. So it'd be great to know what's coming there.
Yes, I'll take a look.
Thank you, Ethan. One other question about 10th Street. You've had long air quality. You mentioned several, times that it was out. Is there a lot more work going to be happening right there that might also continue to make it reach, notable levels? Because it would be great if local residents could, and I know most people don't have their windows open anymore or not much, but, to not even let people know a good day to close your windows.
Right. So just to clarify, I know that this, dust goes everywhere, but those specific alerts are from monitors on the park side. But I imagine that there is a bit more work to do there. So we'll have to try to remind the contractor to implement those dust mitigation measures. And I will take this opportunity to say of East 10th Street, near Reese, there is quite a bit more work to do there. We still have to install the approaches for the bridge, so that'll be pretty noisy, messy work, which is part of the reason why we're, strategically relocating vibration monitors and adding some air quality monitors up there. And we're in close contact with Reese, so we'll be sure to keep them informed as that work approaches.
Thank you. I don't have other questions, but thank you all.
Thanks, Wendy.
Julian.
Hi, I'm Julian Swearingen on behalf of Friends of Corlears Hook Park. I just wanted to ask about what we call the FDR pathway, which is along the FDR Drive on the west side of the drive that goes under the bridge. It used to be a Chinese garden, but now it's just sort of an unplanted pathway. I'm just wondering if there's a plan for filling that in.
Yes, there is a plan, and Luke Elisea from Parks is not on tonight, but he and I spoke yesterday about this, and he will have an email out to you folks in the next couple of days. I know I think he might be away this weekend, so it might not be this week, but we are in active discussions about that, and we'll be in touch with you guys about that.
Great, thank you very much.
Are there any other questions? All right. Oh, wait, oh, Julian, do you have another question?
Sorry, just one more, and I'm not sure if this is the right time. And there's also an issue we've noticed in Corlears Hook Park. There's two spots. One of them is right in front of the dog run, and one of them is opposite where rain seems to pool when it rains, and it sort of floods. And I'm wondering if I just want to make sure you guys were aware of it. And I don't know if it's on the agenda or on the list of things to be aware of, but wanted to flag that as well.
Yes, thank you. We are aware of that, and we're
Okay,
kind of looking into that.
great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have one more. Sorry, it's Wendy. The contractors that are responsible for the trees, is it 1 year or 2 years that they have responsibility?
I believe shrubs, grasses, and perennials are 18 months, and trees are 24 months.
And that's from the time of planting?
I have to look into exactly when that goes into
Okay.
effect.
Okay, thank you so much.
Of course.
All right, thank you, Ethan and Stephen. I don't see any other questions.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, CAG, it is now time for the CAG only portion of tonight's meeting. And since Team DDC finished up pretty quickly, it's only 4:30. I propose that we don't take a break. We usually or often take a 1 to 2 minute break. Is everyone okay with that, or does anyone have to like run to the bathroom? Cool. All right,
Good.
so I don't really have an agenda item except for to report back on the walkthrough that a few of us did on Tuesday afternoon. We did a short walkthrough of the park to talk about the issue of the lack of shade, especially in the parks, in the redone parks, early years when the new trees are not tall enough to adequately provide shade. Wendy, do you wanna, I'm gonna put you on the spot, but do you want to kind of give people some of the main takeaways of that conversation and who else was there?
Christina was there. Was there anyone else in the CAG? I think Io made it, but late. And we had already walked south, so
Yeah.
we didn't see her note till later.
Yeah.
Chris Marte came but had to leave because of the sprayed on Canal Street, but we had representatives from Grace Lee and Brian Kavanaugh's office, and who might be on the call right now too, I don't know. And part of the problem was we didn't have anybody from parks there. So I think a big key finding was that we need to have Luke around or somebody like him to tell us what is and isn't possible. So one example, you heard me just ask about the length of the guarantee for the trees and things. And is planting something else there? Does that break the guarantee, the warranty? And if so, how long do we have to wait till we can plant near something that hopefully Luke would be able to answer, but we didn't have the answer for. We looked around for where it was that's concrete, and that's throughout. And one spot we were looking at was close to where I think they call it a multi-purpose turf field. It's kind of under the bridge. And it was a good example of the benches not being where they needed to be for shade or for, there was a whole group of family members watching kids play soccer. And the only place for them to sit was on the ground. So their benches aren't necessarily placed quite right. We don't know if they're movable. We noticed how some things are arranged to kind of take up as much room as possible, like some of the benches on the esplanade, rather than kind of creating really clear pathways for when there are a lot of people in the park. And I don't know if you've been to the park, but during the day, it's pretty empty because of the heat issue. it really starts to fill up later afternoon into the evening, that a lot of people are using it. And now we're coming into fall and winter, so it's less and less of an issue, the heat, but it's going to be back in the spring. And they did add 2 misters, 2 poles that you can push a button and get sprayed on right near the new gigantic turf field that's so hot. There's the one thing that was interesting, thinking about where do we have shade now? One place is in the shadow of the fireboat house. Is that a reason to keep the fireboat house around until the trees are mature so that there is some shade there? And we know a lot of people have feelings of nostalgia for buildings like that. It's the last of the old buildings in the park, and it will to see it go if it has to, and maybe functioning as an exterior in some way is a good thing. But, many questions about fast growing grasses and where can they be put that doesn't get in the way of a FEMA mandated setback or a Parks Department rule or, something having to do with the guarantee. We looked at the solar poles. So if you've been in the park, you've probably used the shadow cast by a solar panel. Then I think there are about 25 throughout the park of the solar lights. I didn't actually count. But could those poles have additional shade structure or something growing on them, like a giant beam pole? Would that actually do anything? Or would it just, create a messy situation that doesn't really help? We don't know. But Grace Lee's office does have capital funding, as Paula reported to all of us, that we can make a proposal for shade or for other things that we see are missing in the park. We don't have anyone here from Stike Cove right now, do we? Because we can ask about their experience, where their council member put in 50 grand. What did that actually cover? Is it still coming? And is it similar things? I know one of the things they wanted was a police call box. We don't have one of those either, I don't believe, in the park. Early on, people thought about, should we have things like those life-saving rings if somebody went over the edge? There's nothing there that you can throw them to help them. Is that a real issue? I don't know. We did have a drowning 2 years ago of a young person. So those were some of the kinds of things we talked about on this walk. I don't know if anybody else who was there, Paula, is there more to add, and is Christina here? I can't tell.
Yeah, Christine's not here. She was the other CAG member on the walk. Yeah, thank you, Wendy. So yeah, in some ways, I guess one of the main kind of like bottom lines and takeaways is that there are a lot of potential shade structures and shade solutions, but they need to be vetted with parks to see how plausible they are, the various types of potential solutions. And so we had talked about as a next step that the CAG should I guess meet with parks, and have a dedicated meeting to talk about like what is and what isn't feasible, just from a physical restraint point of view and the other restraints that Wendy alluded to. So I think because of the fairly sparse attendance right now of CAG members, and including some members who have been also have been vocal about the lack of shade, I propose as a next step that we meet before the next CAG meeting in November, to have a dedicated conversation with parks about shade structures. Does that sound right, Wendy and others?
It's a busy time, and if we can't get somebody like him there that can actually answer questions, it could be difficult. I sent Paula a link and a PDF of the shade notes, and it's not just me. A bunch of different people have added to that page. If you have some examples want to add them to them, I can help you with that, or you can stick them on yourself. The link is an editable link. But you'll see right at the top, they already respond to some questions we had about shade last year. Those answers are linked there. And there's various, you know, silly and example what you can do
Wendy,
with
Wendy, I don't know if you can hear me, but you're breaking up.
communities that make huge
Can other people hear
things,
Wendy? Or is
you
it just
know,
me?
that probably wouldn't work here. Oh, okay, I'll stop.
Yeah, your connection's really bad, Wendy,
I can hear you, but
and you're frozen.
oh,
Um, does
okay, I'll
anyone
turn
have
my
any?
camera off. And
Okay.
okay,
Does anyone have any questions or reactions or comments about how to move forward with the shade question?
I sent it today, and
Hey, Wendy,
how
you're
many
still totally breaking
people are
up.
there doing daytime?
Wendy, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, it's still, even though your camera's off, it's still, we're barely getting what you're saying.
Okay.
All right. Well, if no one has anything at the moment, I will reach out to the entirety of the CAG and to Luke to set up a meeting. No worries, Wendy.
Okay.
Is there anything else that anyone wants to bring up? All right. Well, thanks as always for being here, and have a good evening. And again, I will be in touch about the next steps for regarding shade. Good night, everyone.